Yo, we back live from New York City. We had to come to New York City because it's the big rich town, and you know we need a lawyer when we in the big rich town, so we came with none other than Jerry Ferrara, a.k.a. Proctor from Power. He in the building, a.k.a. Turtle. You know the blackest one with me, so you know what I'm saying? Y'all tune in, sit tight. Y'all might get a couple jewels about Power. Y'all gonna get some behind the scenes about this and that. And we gonna chop it up big time about the Knicks, y'all. Check it out.
Cheers, man.
Yes, sir.
Happy to be here.
All right, the first question we always ask everybody is, who was the first person to bust your ass? In a sense, we want to know it two ways. You know, you like to play basketball. You play basketball. Who's the first person that you seen on the court that you played basketball that bust your ass? And who's the first person that you seen on the set that you went to that you was like, he acting so good, I got to step my acting skills up?
Oh, man, I just got nervous thinking about it. As far as, like, on the court growing up, I mean, I got dunked on when I was, like, 11 by, like, a 12-year-old just in the park random. We were playing pickup. And I don't know the guy's name. I don't know anything about him. And we were playing a 11-year-old version, and this 12-year-old walks on the court, and very athletic. I'm getting back on defense, and he jumped. I'm like, wow, he jumped from far away, and he jumped over me and threw it at 12.
Do you
so that's
remember?
where I'm like, okay, I don't remember his name. I can see his face right now.
See him.
And that's where I knew right there. I'm like, okay, so basketball is just going to be a hobby for me. It's not going to be much more than that. As far as acting-wise, I got to say, on Entourage, you know, when I first came in, Jeremy Piven, who played Ari.
Ooh, that's my guy.
Yeah.
In one of our first scenes, I remember I come running in. He's having a conversation with the Vince character, and I try to interrupt, and he just like puts his hand out, and he's like, "Turtle, now, wait for it." And I actually shut up. I'm like, oh, okay. Like he owned me in the scene, and that's where I knew I'm like, this guy's a whole other force to be reckoned with. So I'm gonna say JP kind of busted my ass early on.
Step your game
we
up.
got to bring it every day because this guy's gonna bring it every day.
Hey, let me just say, I loved Ari Gold. He is like a superhero. Like the best scene ever was when he showed up with the Nerf gun to obliterate everybody. It does not get better than that. Like, how was that working with him and working with that whole, like, and was that your first like major start?
It was. Up until that point, you know, I was kind of, like, I guess in sports terms, I was like a little bit of a journeyman. I was bouncing around from show to show, never really kind of popped. And then Entourage, you know, I was only 23 when Entourage came along, but I was still doing it already for 5 or 6 years. People think I just was overnight. And then when Entourage came along, that was by far, you know, my biggest thing to that moment. I remember being very, very nervous that it wasn't going to get picked up and it wasn't going to last. I really didn't start enjoying the success of it till like season 3 or 4 when I knew I had some job security, man. But
everybody loved your character.
How was that the response to it?
To Turtle?
That sense was overnight, right? So season 1 came out and it did pretty well, had some notoriety, but it definitely did not blow up right away. And that was kind of right when like DVR and On Demand started. So when we went off the air, everybody caught up. So when we came back to season 2, I remember the first day we were shooting and cars driving by on Sunset started yelling out their windows, "Turtle, drama!" I'm like, people are watching this show. This is crazy. So it was probably around season 2 that I started to realize this might be around for a minute. But you felt even more pressure though to be even better than you were the previous season. I'm telling you, man, every actor, if you liked sports, you wanted to be an athlete.
Yeah.
So I always looked at the acting stuff in an athletic way. Like I tried to add something every summer, you know? We got a summer break. I'm going to come back and I'm going to be better at this. Yeah.
Come back with some new moves.
I tried, you know? I think the good one, the great ones really do add something every year.
What was the turning point when you was like, I'm finna act? Because you said you did 5 years before Entourage. Like, what was the turning point? You was like, man, this is really what I want to do.
You know, it really wasn't until I had gotten to college, right? And at that point, I was kind of done with school, in my opinion. Like, I was just burned out on it. I didn't want to be there. I went to kind of appease my mom. I'm like, yeah, I'll go to college, Mom. And I wasn't even going to class, but I did go to this acting class, and because I heard the professor gives out like an easy A just for showing up, like a participation trophy.
Right.
Yeah.
And I went, and I was the only guy in class who got an F. He failed me. And I remember going up to him. I'm like, look, I know I'm doing good work. Why'd you fail me? He's like, because I actually think you have some ability, and I want you to come back and take this class again because I see something in you that I don't even think you see in yourself.
Yeah.
And that's where I was just all in. I was about 17 years old. From that moment on, nothing else existed to me. It was, I'm going to, one way or another, be an actor, or I'm just going to die trying, and I'll do what I got to do to make it work.
What made you choose Power? What was about Power that you read the script or something like that to make you choose Power is the one where I want to come back?
So I had read the pilot of Power, the first episode, which I just remember reading it and I remember flipping right to the front page, like, who wrote this? This is crazy. And I saw Courtney Kemp on there. I saw executive producer Curtis Jackson. I'm like, this is going to be interesting. So I had a meeting with Courtney Kemp about a different role. I don't even remember the role. It wasn't a main character. I wasn't like Tommy or anything like that. I'm not trying to start a rumor on here.
Yeah.
But I remember it didn't work out. I think it was scheduling because we were getting ready to do the Entourage movie, right?
Yeah.
So it didn't work out, and I was bummed about it because I don't get offered like tons of jobs, so I was interested in the opportunity. And I remember watching season 1, being like, of course the show is good. Of course I'm not on there, and the show is a banger. It's a really good show. So, but in that meeting, Courtney said to me, I just think that there's more to you than Turtle. Turtle's great. We all love Turtle, but she's like, I think you could do drama. I think people don't even know really where you came from. I think we could show them something else, and I like shocking people.
Yeah.
So she said, I'm going to come back to you. I'm going to write you something. And I've heard that 1,000 times, and it never amounts to anything. No one ever comes back for me. It just doesn't happen. It's talk.
Yeah.
Less than a year later, my phone rings. It's Courtney. And she says, listen, I wrote this character, Joe Proctor. He's the criminal defense attorney. It's not a lot of stuff right away, but it's going somewhere. And she sent me the pages, and it was good stuff. And at the time, not that I had an ego, but coming off Entourage, I wanted something bigger. I remember thinking, like, this is really well written, but it's only like 2 scenes. I really want something bigger. And I think the mistake would have been to get on that high horse and say, no, I'm going to wait for something bigger. Right. I just said, you know what? She's a great writer. There's great actors on that show. Yeah. And she's a believer in me when there's maybe not a lot of people who are. Yeah. I'm in. I'm with you. Yeah. And I flew to New York that next week, and I did the first scene as Proctor. And 5 years later, I just imagine if I would have said no. Yeah. I would have missed out on this whole run. That would have been a true shame, man. So that's my story with Power.
I always wanted to ask, because I did a couple of movies myself,
That's right.
I do a couple. I Denzel'd a couple of movies myself, you know what I'm saying? But what is it like to get shot at doing a movie scene? Like
you forgot I was in the movie too.
You ain't doing as many as me.
I ain't get shot at though. I ain't get shot at though.
But like you getting shot at, like you see you running across the room and it's just like everything blowing up. Like, what is that like?
There's one part of it that's really cool because you're like a little kid, playing with your friends, and it's just the most lifelike stuff. But the worst part that I just don't love is when someone's really pointing it at you and you're gonna get the shots, right? They have something called squibs, which are like the little mini explosives. Right. Yeah. You basically wear like a vest, and for me with Power, we could talk about it now because it's aired. So my exit on Power, I had 8 squibs on it.
Yeah, I seen that.
And Joe Shakura, who plays Tommy, points a AR at me. Right. And it's just, it's not that hard to act it out because it just feels terrible. Yeah. And that thing just made me and then you just fall, and it's terrible. I don't enjoy that.
What did you ever think that you finna be in a shootout scene? Like you finna play a role that they needed you to, cause like you bust back. Like I'm talking about you was busting back all like behind the counter.
You was like Arsenio in Harlem Nights. Like stop shooting that little shit. Like you gotta be shooting that AR. That boy like pow.
You look like this is what you do. Did you ever think that you would be in a shootout scene? A dope shootout scene though.
No, because if you know anything about Power, usually when Tommy's coming for you, it's savage and it's not much of a competition, right? So, when obviously a lot of characters on Power die, and so Courtney calls me in, and I thought we were going to talk about something else, but she kind of looks at me and she like smiles almost in like a sympathetic way. I'm like, oh, is this it? Is this happening right now? She's like, yeah, so Proctor's gonna die in episode 5. I'm like, really? And then the question becomes, how? Oh no, how?
Right.
And she's like, it's really cool. You're gonna go out like a man,
Like a G.
yeah. And she pitches me the whole thing, and I'm like, all right, that's pretty cool. And it's just still, no matter what, I remember saying, like, when that time comes for Proctor, I'm gonna take it like a man. But I wanted to cry, man. It was sad because you know, you get so used to working with everybody, and you do become a family. You know, you have feelings for these people, and you know you're just not gonna get to see them as much anymore.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, it was a shoot. I had to go take lessons on how to like sort of look like you know what you do. But it was funny because Proctor is more comfortable with a pen than a gun, so it was cool if I didn't look like I really knew fully what I was doing.
Yeah.
If it fit the character, man. But Tommy, Joe Shakur, he's like the Terminator when he's coming.
The Terminator.
Yeah,
The Terminator.
Cool, calm, collector. He's playing cat and mouse with you.
Yeah.
Like usually, like we were saying, like usually he had the little gun with the silencer on there.
I was surprised
he brought
came
the big
with the
boy
big
out
boy.
for you.
Well, he was killing two things that night, right?
Yeah.
He was killing Proctor and he was killing Ghost's penthouse
The
apartment.
penthouse, yeah. He was making a statement.
Told you he wanted to trash the whole
Well, Ghost
place.
wrecked his car.
Right.
So
Yeah.
it's like eye for an eye. You wreck my car, I'm gonna wreck your penthouse apartment.
The number one troll in the world right now,
50.
50 Cent.
50 Cent.
5-0. And is it better to stand next to him or to stand across from him? Because he'll get you if you stand across
Oh
from
no,
him.
it's better to be next to him. I told him, man, I'm like, listen, even if there's like a dinner you paid for that you didn't want to pay for, and you feel like I should have threw in, I'll Venmo you right now, man. I'm not trying to owe you any money at all. But he is a perfect example when I talk about like athletes and entertainers kind of trying to like 50 to me is a guy who added something every summer. He came out his natural ability, hip hop and rap, right?
Yeah.
That he has a God-given talent,
Yeah.
and that's what got him in. But then next couple of years, he's acting in
He didn't
movies,
stop from there.
and then he's a brand ambassador for vitamin water.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
and now he produces Power. He directed the episode
episode,
a couple of weeks ago. So
yeah.
he's always added. He became an Instagram mogul.
Yeah.
You know, he's always added something.
Yeah, into his catalog.
Yeah.
His stuff getting long as a street now.
It's crazy
like
to
how
watch.
much stuff he's putting himself
But you want to
into.
stand beside him for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. It's not even a thing. I think I have nightmares of waking up and seeing my picture on
He
his
got a
Instagram.
collection agency going now. You know, he's doing well.
People was calling you Turtle for a long time.
Yes.
Before they even knew your name, they was
Yes.
calling you Turtle. Do they call you Proctor now?
They do, man. It's so funny. My wife pointed this out to me the other day. We were walking around our neighborhood. We had our son in the stroller, and like across the street, someone screams out, "Yo, Turtle, we love you, man. You want to go smoke?" I'm like, I'm pushing the stroller, man. I'm crying out loud. And then not 5 minutes later, we grab a coffee and we're walking back home, and group of like 5 kids, it must have been like 17, 18 years old, come up to me like, "Oh my God, Proctor! It's Proctor!" They had no clue who Turtle was.
Yeah.
And I don't know if the
That's
dudes are
That's a
shouting.
generation
It's
thing.
a generation
Yeah.
thing, and it's cool because a lot of actors talk about typecasting and not wanting to get stuck playing the same role. And obviously, Turtle, that was a fear, right? But if typecasting is a real thing, it means it should never be able to happen again.
Yeah.
And it happened again. I went from Turtle to Proctor.
Right
so
now, they don't,
it's one of the coolest things in my career that
But, they don't gotta call you a turtle no more. It's like Proctor is not too.
but I feel like
People in the grocery store like Turtle. You like,
I know.
feel like you got one of them things like though from like where when we grew up, Regina King always gonna be from 227.
yeah.
She ain't gonna ever shake that. You
Oh,
gonna,
you gonna
always
be everybody
be
lawyer. Everybody
Turtle
lawyer.
or Proctor. Like to me,
Yeah.
you always gonna be both because I watched the inception from the first episode of Entourage to the first episode of Power. So for me, like you said, for the young kids that ran up and they was like, "Oh, Proctor," and then you gonna have some people that just say Turtle. Well, for me, I'm like, yo, like when I first met you came to Knicks, then I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, we like, yo, Turtle at the game, like Turtle. At the
I think you said that. Too.
like
I think I walked
dead
in.
like dead we like, yo, Turtle at the game.
Yeah.
Like, it's fucking Turtle, like the coolest dude on Entourage. Like we gotta say what's up to Turtle, like. So how was that, man? Was it, because my perspective, I know for you it's like that was work, that was a job, but was
Yes.
that like the most fun you had, like period ever working? Because when I look at it, I wished I could have been a part of the set sometimes, just
Pool
doing
scenes.
anything. Like, life ain't real like that. Did you see what just walked past right there? Like, man, listen.
It actually became a running joke at one point because obviously we were loosely based on reality. You know, we were pulling stories and stuff like that, but we were doing the most extreme version, right?
Exactly.
We were trying to say like, all right, if it's at normally a 6, we're going to show you the 10 that it is. Because I remember there'd be times we'll be shooting at, there's this famous coffee shop in LA called Earth Cafe. It's on Melrose, right? It's where a lot of people go. And we would always shoot there. And I remember one time I talked to our producer, our creator, Doug Allen. I'm like, Doug, this is ridiculous. We're the only dudes here. There's 45 women and us. That's, even for LA standards, that's not real life. He's like, well, it's trying to show excess. So it was a lot of hard work, but I never wanted to leave set when they called rap for a few different reasons. Obviously, I just love the work part, but I really, we became family.
Yeah, family.
We were functioning like a team that was all in on the same page with one common goal.
Yeah.
So those 12, 13-hour days, I didn't mind them one bit. There was nowhere else better I could think to be. So it does change when you get a little bit older and you start a family. Like, you do want to get back to the family at times. But back then, man, 25 years old, not even knowing LA that well yet, it was showing me LA. It was like my guided tour through LA.
Dude, you and drama every week. I promise. It was y'all were priceless. Y'all made that, like, I know, like, that Vinny and E were whatever. Y'all were it for me on the show, dude.
He was almost the reason why I didn't get the part, though.
Huh?
I'll tell you why, right? So Kevin Dillon, who plays Johnny Drama, is about 13, 14 years older than me, because I was very young. And at the time they wanted to make the show, like, they wanted the guys to be like 27. And when I was 23, I looked like I was 18.
Right.
So we were all supposed to be within 4 years. Like, if Drama was a senior in high school, we were supposed to be freshmen.
Right.
And HBO was a little worried. They're like, Jerry's 23, Dylan's 36. How did they grow up together? So I remember that was the one thing I had working against me. And do you know, not one person ever mentioned it. Not one person ever said, there's no way Drama and Turtle went to it actually became a funny running joke, like, Drama, how old are you?
Yeah.
It became a thing, so no one ever mentioned it.
Dude, that was, like, for me, the fiascos and just the crazy.
He's the best, man.
I'm telling you, he was hilarious.
Dude, we would be shooting on Sunset Boulevard, and there would be a school bus full of kids. I think one time there was, like, the lacrosse team driving across Sunset. They saw Kevin Dillon. They started shaking the bus, yelling victory.
Victory! Like you said at the top of the mountain.
They play it at
like,
sports arenas. Like, when something good happens, they show that clip of him going victory.
I'm telling you.
He's the best, man. Kevin Dillon is a legend.
Mark Wahlberg is one of my favorite actors, and his career is one of my favorite careers to be watching and seeing how he's evolving himself.
Yeah.
As the years go by. Speak on him, like, because we did an interview with Jimmy Butler, and Jimmy Butler was talking about him very highly, and everybody's not friends with Mark Wahlberg. You had the opportunity to do something with Mark Wahlberg that made history. So how is Mark Wahlberg to you?
I mean, his story is really interesting because, he came from a tough background, and, it's just, again, talking about someone adding something. He came out, he was doing his music thing, rapping, feel the vibrations.
Yeah.
And then he became, he's a Calvin Klein model on giant billboards in Times Square. And then next thing you know, he's acting without really ever acting before. So I always respected that. It's funny when, again, another reason why I almost didn't get the part in Entourage. So the final step before you get the role on a TV show is you do the network test, right? This is where they get like 3 choices for every character. And you're going to go in front of the network and do your audition. So I remember looking around, and I'm like, there's all the turtles, and there's the Vinny Chasers, there's all the handsome dudes just looking good, blue-eyed. And so you go in first by yourself. You do a solo. It's like, and then they pair you up with their chemistry matching. So I go in, I do my solo thing. I think I did all right. And I go back in the waiting room, and Wahlberg comes out. I didn't even know he's in the room because you're like on the stage, and it's lit. You can't even see who's there. It's a bunch of scary-looking, intimidating people. Wahlberg comes out into the waiting room, and he's like motioning for somebody. And I'm like, you looking at me? I'd never met Mark at this point. So he's like, come over here. And I walk over. I'm like, what's up? What's up, Mark Wahlberg? What you got? He's like, he pulls me in real close, and he's like, listen, that was fine what you just did. That audition was fine, but you're kind of blowing it. I'm like, what? He's like, I watched all your audition tapes. That is what you just did in the room was not what you were doing in the audition tapes before. You're too you're tight.
Yeah.
Don't worry about the script. Don't worry about what we want to see. Go do this for you. Go do what you think we want to see. Make a choice. Okay. And it was kind of just like a smack in the face that woke me up because I was nervous. Maybe I didn't even know. I was kind of playing it cool. And I felt like, oh my God, this moment's slipping away. So when they called me back in and they matched me up with somebody, I just went for it. And I started hearing laughter in the room where they're like trained not to laugh at you because they don't want to show what they're thinking. And I think I won it in that moment right after. And he didn't have to do that. He could have let me continue to phone it in and do what I thought was safe. But I don't know. I thank him for that. And he's been a great producer ever since. And now the guy's a producing mogul. Another guy who's adding something to the toolbox
now
every
you
year.
Call him.
Yes. Maybe not on the first ring he'll take it, but maybe on the second he'll
call you back.
He's a busy guy.
Yeah.
He's got a lot going on.
Who was your favorite guest on Entourage?
It was so many.
Who was your favorite guest? Your favorite cameo on Entourage? Who was that?
It's not a secret. I'm a sports guy. I love when actors came on, and that was always really cool. A lot of guys I respected, but for me, I loved when the athletes came on because I'm a sports fan. So I wasn't in the LeBron scene. LeBron came on. Of course, you guys do a scene with LeBron, and I'm not in it. Like I'm the one who knows the most about basketball. It was cool because also, like Kevin Durant wasn't in the show, but he came by one day just to hang out.
Yeah.
So he was hanging out behind the monitors. I got to talk to him. If I had to go the favorite all time, the one that sticks out to me was Tom Brady because there is a bit of a story behind it. That whole episode, it was supposed to be Drama and Vince versus, at the time it was originally written for Peyton and Eli. It was going to be brothers versus brothers on the golf course. And something happened like a week out before we were ready to shoot, and they pulled out. I don't remember the reason, and it really kind of screwed us because we're about to shoot in a week. So this is what having Mark Wahlberg as your executive producer came in. Mark's like, all right, well, I'll do it. I'll play I'll play myself. And he goes, you want me to call Tom?
Oh my God, Tom.
We're like, Tom, Brady? He's like, hey, you want me to call Tom Brady? Like, yeah, Mark, if you could make that call, that would be really helpful. And this was the year Brady, the year before, gotten injured. He tore his knee up. So, he was really rehabbing. No one really seen him in a minute. And he accepted the invitation on a week's notice, came out 5 a.m. to shoot his day, and got up on the first tee box and hit a 300-yard drive. I'm like, oh, you're good at golf too? I'm like, if you're a good actor, I'm really going to have a problem with you. And he was a good actor as well. He couldn't have been more humble, down to earth. He was so cool with the crew. That's how you could always tell. Like, you always feel like the cameos are going to be nice to us. How's everyone with the crew? He was super humble. He was there for 12 hours, signed stuff for everybody. And that one always stands out because I also torture him in the episode.
Right.
Like, I want to be mean to him.
Yeah.
So that one stands out. But there's so many. I mean, we had Steve Nash, we had Amari, Strahan. There's just so many.
Once a Knick, always a Knick.
Yes, sir.
Why the Knicks? You ain't gave up yet. Like
never given up.
Like Brooklyn got Kyrie and Kevin Durant. The time to give up is really now. If you're not gonna give up now, it's like you
jump off the bandwagon.
You're gonna be there
go
forever. Like
So I remember the first Knick game I ever watched where I fully knew what was going on. I think I was 10 years old, and I believe it was on Martin Luther King Day, the Trent Tucker shot that made the Trent Tucker rule. I think I was 9 years old watching that game, and at the time I was kind of like, oh, wow. I was watching Jordan being like, oh, I think I like the Bulls. This guy's unbelievable.
Right.
But the Knicks kept fighting back, and then Trent Tucker hit that three, and I'm like, nope, I'm a Knicks fan, and I was in from that moment on. And then I went to New Utrecht High School in Brooklyn, and Stephon Marbury went to Lincoln, so he was 2 years older than me, but I watched more Lincoln games than Utrecht games just because I was watching him and Felipe Lopez and those guys coming up. And that's where I fell in love with basketball. And it just was always the Knicks for me. I couldn't root for the New Jersey Nets. Yeah. And I don't think just because they moved to Brooklyn, I just can't do that. I can't just jump ship. It just doesn't work. That sports to me don't work that way.
They got better colors, like black and white. Like,
you think?
Yeah,
I would
black and white.
Argue that. I don't know.
You like the orange? Like my high school colors. Don't get me wrong, was Knick colors, orange and blue. But that black and white them boys got over there, Them boys look dope.
But
the
I just
court,
like, what's
the arena, like
what's the history, right? So when the Knicks get it right and God willing win a championship in my lifetime, that's gonna be so earned for me. Like I'm gonna be the first person standing at that parade saying I earned this as a fan. I earned this ring.
Do you plan on doing that in spirit too? Because you
Yeah.
might not even be here no more when the Knicks
From
win
the
one.
grave, man. My son will carry it on. He has no choice.
So wait. Let me ask you this: were you like everyone else coming into this free agency?
Yeah.
All hyped up, like wait, let's go. Let's go a little bit before the free agency because if I recall. Y'all were supposed to get the number 1 pick and get Zion.
Which there was a 12.5% chance of really happening.
But Knick fans spoke as if it had already happened.
That's what we do. That's what we do.
This is why I'm saying this. And so, so you were one of those people. You thought y'all had the number 1 pick. You thought y'all had KD, Kyrie in the bag, and possibly somebody else.
So I did not think that their number 1 pick was realistic because I mean, our last number 1 pick was 1985, so we have not Patrick Ewing. We have not gotten the bounces of the ping pong ball. So, and I knew, of course, we finished with the worst record in the league right when they flattened the odds. So we don't even do that. We don't even have the 12.5% chance. So I was not optimistic. I was never in on Kyrie because I just did not fully believe he would come. I did think Kevin Durant was coming. I'm not gonna. I 100% thought Kevin Durant was coming. I was in on that, and I was disappointed. The thing that keeps me optimistic though is I do, as for the first time as a fan, a Knicks fan, feel there's a plan in place. We're keeping our draft picks. We're not spending bad money. We're really gonna slow play this thing, and it's gonna take time, but we're building it right from the beginning. We're just a few years behind everybody.
I think
I need a sip. He
needs a sip. I agree. I think it was not what everybody expected, but I think it was a lot more. I think they did a lot better than what people think right now. I think the players they got, they all like really hard workers. They're not obviously on the level of the KDs or the Kyries, but they still are great, like serviceable, good players, and they all work hard. And the other thing that people I don't know if they recognize or really want to acknowledge, everybody was on a 1-year deal except Randall.
It's true.
So you still maintain that flexibility going into the off season next season. Whoever does well enough, you like them, you bring them back. Otherwise, you just go out and you trying to continue to improve. So I think they did really well. Although everybody else kind of was
killed them.
That's the way it goes. But the whole plan, I had issues because I thought it was swinging for the fences. It was like you're gonna go from nothing to getting all of this in 1 year. That was like a lot to do, and teams don't just do that. So I thought it was far-fetched from the beginning.
No, the things that I'm paying attention to are, for years it was we're rebuilding while trying to stay competitive. Yeah. That was what we were being told as fans. You go back to like the Phil Jackson era, right? And I don't really understand how we're rebuilding. Like, I love D Rose. You don't get D Rose if you're rebuilding. Right. He's like, a piece that could maybe help you win whatever his role is. Noah, all those. Like, I never felt like we were getting put in on the plan as a fan. Like, this is not a rebuild. We're trying to compete, and it's just not working. Yeah. This is a true rebuild. All our draft picks, and I think Randall's gonna make the All-Star game in the East this year.
Ooh,
in the East. I mean, I think Julius Randle will be an All-Star forward in the Eastern Conference this year.
I like Julius Randle.
I do like what he does.
Big Willie talk right there.
I'm bold. I'm being bold. You said positive. I'm keeping it positive.
But my homeboy said that they're gonna make the playoffs. I said that's kind of pushing it.
I probably know your friend who said that because I've been saying that too. I mean, is it though? Is the 8th seed pushing it? That's 40. That's 42 wins, right?
Yeah.
41 wins. I mean, yes, that's pushing it. Some guys got to take a leap.
But players got to step up. Definitely players like Dennis Smith Jr., which I've been liking him since college. I feel like this next season is like a new him by being on a new team, and he get the opportunity to kind of show his talent.
Right, he's the guy. He's got his position locked.
Even with Randall and the guys they got, it's like Knox, them young guys, and the R.J. Barrett, they give all of them an opportunity to show themselves.
I'm looking forward to Big Mitch, too, Mitchell Robinson. That's my guy, man.
So let me ask you this. You big-time New York fan.
Mm-hmm.
Which one would you say you go harder for? Would it be the Giants? Is it the Yankees? Is it the Knicks? Are you a Rangers fan?
Rangers, yes. Rangers.
Okay, is it the Rangers? What is it? Which
Easy
one?
answer. Knicks.
Oh.
I've even gone far. I always ask my
So
buddies
you got
this
more
question.
Knick jerseys than Yankees, Giants,
For sure,
anything.
for sure. I always start this conversation at dinner with my other Knick fan friends, right? What rings would you give up for a Knicks ring, right? Meaning, like, would I give up any of the Giants Super Bowls, like trade that for a Knicks championship? Probably not. Will I maybe give up the 2009 Yankees World Series championship with A-Rod? Yeah, I'm going to give that one up for a Knicks ring for sure. And look, Yankees have rings, Giants have rings, Rangers had a Stanley Cup 94. Yeah. I have not seen a Knicks championship in my lifetime. It makes me want to root for them even more. I don't jump off the ship when it's not going right. I stay on. I'm the last man on.
So let me ask you this. Is your beloved wife in your Knicks fandom as well?
She's starting to get there, right? She's from Cleveland.
Oh.
And
so she already is drinking from the sweet
LeBron James.
And she's from Akron, actually. She's closer to Akron than Cleveland. And she prides herself on, I used to watch LeBron in high school because they're the same age. I'm like, that's great. Congratulations. But here's where I got her, right? So she's a Cavs fan, as she should be, Browns fan. Yeah. But I got her because, I go to some Knicks games. They've taken very good care of me over the years. So I'm like, come on, we're going to go to the Knicks game. And next thing you know, we're sitting in some really good seats. And, maybe Tim Hardaway Jr. at the time came and, like, showed me a little love. And she now is, like, getting emotionally attached to the players. So I would say she still rocks hard for the Cavs first. But she has Nick, like, she's invested on Frank Ntilikina. She wants young Frank to be good. She's rooting for young Frank.
Let me ask you this. What happened in the house when the Giants traded OBJ to Cleveland? So now your wife has OBJ and you don't have OBJ no more.
I saw a
so
preview of this on Instagram.
How was the house?
I saw a preview. I'll let you tell, but I know how this went.
Well, when the trade went down, she trolled me hard. I came home. I don't remember where I was coming from, and I walk in and I see it like a package and wrapper on the counter, and I look at it and I open it up. And it's an OBJ Browns jersey, and she's filming me from the side. I'm like, oh. And then, so 3 weeks ago, before game 1 in the season, I was playing some pickup hoops. I have my routine on Sunday. I play pickup from 10:30 to 12, and then I hustle home to get home to watch NFL. And my 5-month-old son, our first kid, is in a Browns onesie. Smiling. It's like, I'm like, listen, we're going to have to iron this out. It's fine now because he doesn't know what's going on. But when he starts, we don't want to confuse this kid. I don't want the kid
You didn't take it off him right then and there?
I let it be.
No.
For that. But then guess what? Before the Danny Dimes game, I'm like, I'm dressing him today. Giants onesie on. And they are 1-0 in a Giants onesie. That's going to be a big argument in the Ferrara household.
It was a lot of furniture moving with OBJ.
So it's safe to say you got some work to do to get her to the point to where, what if you had to trade in your wedding ring for the Knicks championship ring? Would she allow it?
She's so supportive of my love for sports, but that might be going one step too far. That might be like that might be one step too far.
Even if you could get a new one,
it would be a long talk. I would have to figure out how hard I could push. I don't.
Gotta get a courtside. Maybe if Brian comes over to a courtside and daps you up and says something, you could get it done.
Listen, I have a lot of love for Cleveland fans in general, though. Those are great sports fans. For Cavs, Browns, Indy, like they love their teams as hard as I love mine.
I know what I want to add. Like we was talking about a second ago. What's your take on how, I guess from optics, the perception would be that a lot of the superstars, the biggest names or whatever, are afraid to come to the Knicks and to take, they know what that is when they come into New York City, Madison Square Garden, you putting that spotlight and that arrow clean, pointedly, proudly on your back. It's no longer
hopes and dreams.
This is what I'm saying. But like
the biggest city.
In my opinion, I have, like, for guys like Carmelo or Murray, I mean, I played there for 4 years, so I know what it means. I know what it means to be in that light. I mean, I wasn't, the player or the prestige they were, but just being there and seeing how it goes, what it is. And so for me, I look at it as like, man, dudes really be afraid of what's gonna happen. And what is you as a lifelong Knicks fan and a diehard Knicks fan? How do you feel when you look at it and they can't get guys? And it's not because of their lack of effort.
Right.
It's more so, in my opinion, about the players not wanting to come there because of them being afraid of whatever. What is your take on that?
So my take, again, fan perspective, it seems like, the big names really are caring about the situation that they're going into, right? Like, obviously, you come to the Knicks. If Kevin Durant came to the Knicks, that was KD's team. There is no doubt about it. He's not sharing the spotlight. So which means, yes, in victory, you're a hero, but in defeat, everybody's going to look at you. Now, I'm not saying he shied away from it necessarily, but again, with the Knicks, there's so much desire to win right now. It's not even going to be a slow building process. Like, if he came, it wasn't going to be like, all right, maybe in 2-3 years they keep building around and we'll get to the no. We're getting this chip now. So I think that, I don't even know if I want to say players are scared of it, but they know, especially big time superstar players, that if it doesn't work, everybody's going to look at you. They're not going to blame RJ Barrett. They're not going to even blame Julius Randle. They're going to look at you and blame you. Oh, KD or whoever, we're not winning because you're shooting 48% from the field this year instead of 58%. So in New York, that's tough, man. It's the biggest microscope in the league.
That's why I look at it on the flip side. Like, being there, like playing there those 4 years, I can remember like Al Harrington coming in. He was like one of my best friends that came to the team.
That's a fun team, man.
And when I say there was nobody who wanted to be a Knick and wanted to be about being a Knick than Al. Like, when he got there, he was over. Oh, son, I'm here. Like,
New York,
it's over, son. Like, I gotta, like, and he was all in. And then by the time he left, he was like, yo,
beat him down a little bit.
He was like, yo, it was, and I was like, I tried to, like, because just when he was coming in, it wasn't ready yet. Like, you saw what we were with the team he came, and it was like we weren't ready for what he was trying to be about. And even now, it's just so much. That's why I have so much respect for Carmelo, for Amari, who not only took that responsibility and showed up, but they was delivering. You know what I mean? Like,
Amari, for sure, his first year before Melo even got there was an MVP candidate. They did it too early when they threw everything to get Melo. They would just waited and let him come in the summer. It would have been. Who knows? Gave up a lot of pieces. Gallinari.
Who knows what it could have been?
Young Ray fell in. I will say this though: there is a flip side to that spotlight and negativity of, if you're not winning in New York and you're the star player. The flip side is, for whoever you could be, maybe some kid 13 years old right now who's practicing. He's going to come into the league in 5 years. Maybe it's Bron Jr. Who knows? If you get a chip in New York for the Knicks, that's like 3 anywhere else.
It's like 10.
That's what I'm saying.
Like 10.
If you win one ring, it's 5.
In this piece, it is.
You got 5 rings.
Over. It is. No, it is over.
It's over.
You don't even have to win it all. You don't. You win the East and get to and you put on a good enough show like, yo, and you was the reason?
Listen, somewhere Steve Novak is smiling because of those corner threes he was hitting. He walks anywhere in New York. He's a legend. Drinks on the house.
Novocaine.
Got you covered, man.
What's a nigga always
exactly.
Nick?
Novocaine.
The best Knick ever. Who would you say the best Knick ever? Your favorite Knick. Who's the best Knick ever?
So I got 2 answers for this one because I think the best Knick ever is Clyde Frazier. And I think he was just quoted. Everyone talks about the Willis Reed game, and that was a remarkable book. Frazier balled in that game.
He really killed it after the first shot.
Willis gets the glory because he played hurt, but Clyde was just lights out. But I didn't see it.
Yeah,
I wasn't even born yet, so it's hard for me to say that's my favorite all-time or the greatest.
So you're about to say same name I would say.
Who?
Go ahead. I'm going to let you. I don't want to say it.
Patrick Ewing. Patrick Ewing, listen. Boy.
My man
he left it all out there, man. Like, it's a shame that Pat didn't get a ring.
Yeah.
It was not for a lack of effort. He tried. He put the city on his shoulders, and he tried, man. That was, like, to me, growing up, that 90s Knicks team, oh, man. I did something really dumb not that long ago on a JetBlue flight because they got the DirecTV. They play Hardwood Classics.
Yeah.
Okay.
I watched Game 7 in its entirety against the Rockets. The whole game. Yeah. Thinking the outcome was going to be different. Just watching it and what killed me was it was such a close game. There was one play they were like down 2. The Knicks had the ball. Oakley got an offensive rebound. It just came out of his hands and kicked off his knee, and we lost possession. They come down and hit a 3. Yeah. That 90s Knicks team, that's really my favorite player is that whole team because Anthony Mason doing things that was never done in the NBA at his size,
When I came up, I was playing in a pro-am when I was like 14 years old. I was playing against Anthony Bonner.
Anthony Bonner
from
couldn't
St.
shoot a
Louis.
free throw to
Yeah.
save his life, but he could dunk on anybody. He was
he
so
was
athletic.
just a hard-working guy. Like,
Yeah. No, that team, man.
Dude.
But Patrick Ewing for me is my favorite all-time Knick, because also, you really felt the wins with him, and you really felt the losses.
So that game 7, was that game 7 worse than when he missed the layup? When
The
he
finger
made
roll against the Pacers?
roll against the Pacers.
Yes, because again, we were up 3-2, and we were in the closeout game for a championship.
Yeah.
That was a tough loss against the Pacers because that was to get back to the finals, but that was coming off Game 7 still, so we were already heartbroken. But the Game 7 was the worst. That was the hardest thing to ever take. I cried. I genuinely. I sat in my room and I cried.
So you weren't mad at John Starks for not making a 3?
I was mad with him, but that's actually my favorite. It's not my favorite alternate Patrick Ewing is, but my favorite Knick to watch was John Starks, because I loved his story. Every time they always talked about this man was bagging groceries in Oklahoma City before he went into the CBA, and that I just loved his story. And he really was the identity of that team. Him and Mason, and just the grit. Derek Harper, just the grit. I mean, Xavier McDaniel was on that squad.
For me, like I grew up, all of us, like we grew up watching Pat, and I always thought Pat was like definitely one of the greatest. But once I got to know Pat, it was over. Yeah, it was curtain. Like Pat, one of the greatest dudes on the planet, one of the greatest people on the planet. Once you get to know him and get to be around him, hang around him. One of the best dudes ever.
The thing that described the New York spirit was when I think it was the game Starks headbutted Reggie Miller and lost his mind. Reggie trash talked him to a point where he just got himself kicked out. And Patrick Ewing grabbed Starks and smacked him on the back and was like, "What are you doing?" He. It was every reaction every fan had. It was like, "What are you doing, getting kicked out of this game? You're letting him get to you." And Ewing had the same reaction. He manhandled Starks and was like, "Use your head, man. You can't get kicked out of this game." Yeah. That was every fan, in New York City that night.
I wanted to ask you, start, bench, or cut. This is all-time Knicks. You got Patrick Ewing, you got Walt Clyde Frazier, and you got Black Jesus, Earl the Pearl Monroe.
Black Jesus.
You got to start one, bench one, and cut one.
Oh, I take this seriously.
This is a tough scenario, and that's why I'm doing it.
Okay. And again, this is my answer. You could criticize it all you want. It's fine. I'll take it because I feel like I'm going to make somebody upset.
Always.
I'm starting Clyde.
Ooh.
Again, not my generation, but the man's got a chip, and he did it when the money was on the line for the chip. He showed up. Starting Clyde. Oh. I'm going to bench Pat, which means I got to cut.
Black Jesus?
There's no right answer. There's no right answer.
If
I cut Pat, I'm betraying my whole childhood. There's no right answer.
Where was you and what was you doing when John Starks went baseline and dunked on Michael Jordan, Horace Grant?
I remember exactly where I was to this day.
Was it really on MJ?
Well, he was in the
pitch.
He
was there.
He was in the
vicinity.
I'm just talking.
His shadow was in the picture.
And the angle of
I've
the
seen a
photo
couple
makes
pictures on Instagram where they take MJ out
of all the Bulls there, he was the most famous one, so everybody say that's on him. So, so we gonna say John Starks baseline.
I remember where I was, man. I was, 14 years old, back in Bensonhurst, Brooklyn, watching the game with my uncle in his basement, and it had an extremely low ceiling, even for as short as I am. Yeah. It was a low ceiling, and when Starks threw down that dunk, I jumped with every ounce of energy I had, and I hit my head on the ceiling. I mean, it was a 6-foot ceiling. I was 5 feet tall, and I hit my head on the ceiling and cracked the sheetrock on the ceiling, and just went nuts because that put them up 2-0.
Put them up 2-0.
And we had home court advantage. And you cut to a week later, game 5, I could still hear the Charles Smith again, Smith block, Smith, put the ball in. That was one of the hardest losses I ever took as a Knicks fan. I have like 3 that stand out that were gut shots to me, and that was one of them.
What did you think about the unicorn Porzingis getting traded away?
That's not a real cool subject. It's still fresh. Pretty fresh.
It is very fresh.
Like the sixth guy, I love the sixth guy.
Hey, I'm a fan of Porzingis too.
But
I was an early fan. I'm one of the few that didn't boo and bury the pick.
Yeah.
When it happened, I said, listen, I don't know that much about him. All I've seen is some grainy video.
Yeah.
But I went to Summer League that year because I was in Vegas playing in a fantasy basketball camp for USA Basketball, over 35.
Yeah.
And I said, I'm going to go check out some Summer League. And I saw him versus the Lakers.
Yeah.
And I remember thinking, wow, this guy, for his height, moves well, and he's got a little dream shake, and I was just in. I said, I don't know if he's going to be a Hall of Famer, but I think this kid's going to be good.
Yeah.
And sure enough, he's good. It is very fresh. I mean, when that trade hit, I remember I was in Florida on a little quick vacation, getting out of the New York cold, and I just saw the Woj bomb, and I just dropped my phone and froze and just stared off into space for a while. Because, I mean, that was the savior.
Yeah.
That's what he was supposed to be.
I need another sip. This is getting rough.
Carmelo Anthony. Like, I love Carmelo Anthony. He's a Hall of Famer.
Yes.
Great career. He was one out of the free agents. He was the one of the few. Him, Amari Stoudemire, that's like, they weren't running from being a Knick.
Nope.
They wanted to be a Knick and wanted to be a Knick for life. Going through what he's going through right now, like what do you feel about Carmelo Anthony being a Knick fan and to see he going through the struggles he's going through now?
I think it's a little wild, and you guys could tell me more than I know. Obviously, to me, there's just no way that guy's not on a roster playing for a competitive team. Like, I get it. You might not want to, no offense to like the Grizzlies or even the Knicks for that matter, young teams rebuilding. I get it. Maybe that's not the right fit, but I really thought the experiment with the Rockets was going to work, you know?
I thought didn't really get a good
it was over before it started.
I don't think it was really given a true opportunity
right
right
there.
there.
He got the short end of the stick.
If I'm close and competitive in the league, and I'm, you know, maybe a move or two away, or guys, I'm absolutely going after Melo. And maybe I'm being too loyal as a Knick fan, but the guy's a bucket. Once a bucket, always a bucket. He's a bucket.
Always a bucket.
I mean, he's showing that he still is a bucket.
And he seems like he's willing to accept whatever the role is. I just want to play. I want to win. Yeah. And maybe it was different 2 years ago. Maybe he wasn't feeling that like that, but it certainly feels like he is now. I just don't. If he's not on a roster, I would be shocked.
Outside the Knicks, who would you see him playing for? Who would you want him to play for? Did you feel a good fit for him?
I would like to see him go to the Lakers. I think it would be an interesting fit. Well, one of the LA teams. Again, I want to see him in a playoff game in a big moment where it's like, we're down a man. We need someone to come in and get us 15 in the fourth.
Yeah. Right.
Like, that's the kind of thing he's going to do. He's going to win you. He could swing you a playoff game that you maybe would have lost.
Right.
I want to see him. I want to see him in the league, but I would love to see him with Golden State or Portland Trailblazers. I feel
Portland was always like, wasn't there always rumors about him going there?
Yeah, I think he turned them down. I think I seen Damian Lillard
wanted him,
say, we tried to get him 1 year. He went to OKC. Tried to get him another year. He chose Houston. It's like,
that would be a good
now
fit.
The people upstairs like, we ain't gonna try to get him now. Which I feel like he'd probably go now if he had the offer to go.
Yeah.
Obviously.
You from Brooklyn. What borough has the best ball players?
Brooklyn.
I think
we just make point guards.
I think Stephon Marbury is the best New York outside of Alcindor.
Right. You can't.
We not counting Alcindor.
Slow down now.
But outside of Alcindor, I feel like Stephon Marbury was the best New York basketball player to come out.
I mean, I think so.
Ever.
Shamika Holdsclaw ever. Shamika Holdsclaw was like, Kenny Anderson.
I said Kenny
Anderson.
Anderson.
And I was like, I love Kenny Anderson. I love Rod Strickland. I love a lot of guys. Lamar Odom. And the list go on and on. Felipe.
That was you
saw the 30 for 30.
I was going to those I was going to those games.
Like Starberry was like, he was something.
You going off how far he went in their NBA career and what they did?
Not just that, just his game in general. Like Starberry he can dribble, he can shoot, he can pass, he was fast, he can jump.
I saw Steph in high school do something I had never seen a guard do before. And again, now it's done easily. You could go on, because now you could see there's so many dunk accounts. You could just see every dunk's been done. Like the stuff people are coming up with now is just insane. But at the time, remember, this is 1996, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they were playing against us, so they were at our school. Everyone came out. Our school wasn't very good. Their school was. And they were inbounding under the backboard, and literally their forward just flipped it up like this. Steph came in from the top of the key, caught the lob in the air, brought it back down, threw it on our 6'7" center. At a guard, like, we'd never seen a guard do that.
Yeah.
That's something I never saw in person or really in the NBA from a guard in my life. And I was like, what? Who is that? How's this guy doing it?
So who would you say is
Steph.
You would say Steph.
I would
so
say Steph. I'm biased because I saw it with my own eyes.
Yeah.
But Felipe Lopez was the best high school basketball player, I think, most covered high school basketball player. He was on the cover of Sports Illustrated.
I remember that.
And I mean, he was the next. He stayed home and went to St. John's with Zendon Hamilton. You know, it's just that was the team.
We played with
I know. Believe me, I know he was
that.
a Clipper. That was gonna be the team that was gonna change St. John's basketball
I
forever.
committed to St. John's. I was gonna go to St. John's like right after they lost.
Don't.
Straight out of high school.
I know. Listen,
Mike
man.
George.
You know, he just did
Saint, we would have loved to have you. See, that's a tough thing with New York, right? Is we don't really have college basketball and football teams.
Yeah.
It's St. John's, who has not been good enough. Now, now the programs come back.
Yeah.
And who do we watch in college football? Syracuse, like hours away. So, again, in New York, you come to St. John's and you're in the tournament making a run. Oh, you're going to get so much love.
You'd have been the
So
man.
much love.
I seen you had the Michael Jordan Olympic Jordans on.
I do, yes.
Today.
Yes.
In the building.
Yes.
What I know you like basketball, but what made you a tennis shoe fan?
When I was a kid, I guess it was just becoming more popular. But I remember when I started playing. First of all, I watched the '88 dunk contest, and when MJ won in the white cement '88s, I'm like, wow, those things made him fly. So I actually believe sneakers can make you fly. Spoiler alert, not true. Okay, I still can't jump. But that shoe to me was just like a good-looking shoe, and obviously I wanted those. I think they were still back then were $125 or whatever. No chance of me getting them. So I saved up my money, and I think by the time I got my first pair of J's, it was a pair of 4s.
Yeah.
And to me, they were just the nicest thing I ever owned in my life. To this day, right, I kind of have terrible posture and my shoulders are rounded forward. And that's because once I got those 4s, every time I walked to school, I walked with my head down looking at the sneakers, just admiring them. Like, look how beautiful. So when I walk, my head's down and my shoulders are like this because I'm looking at the sneakers. And I used to set them up. So I used to pull on the tongue so hard, I ripped the tongue out at one point because I was just always trying to get them fitted perfectly. And from there, man, I mean, it was off to the races for me. I mean, I had pumps. I had the David Robinson pumps. I was about it.
He was about that life.
It just did something to me. It was art to me. It
so
was
that
art.
made that portion of the turtle character just seamless. It was true. You was just not so much acting. You was just being yourself. Like I remember the one episode where what was it? You had to go get you went to like some alley.
You talking about?
So you had to go to the alley to get the joints from the garage.
So that was special for me because that was also, we were the first show to ever show the sort of, I don't want to say underground sneaker culture, but the waiting online for the drop sneaker culture. Like you had to be a sneakerhead to know that you're standing online like you're waiting to go see Star Wars or something to get the drop. We showed that, and I just remember being Undefeated, and I'm like, man, this really looks like a real drop. We had 100 extras waiting online, and guys were arguing for the shoes, and that episode is probably the one I get asked about most. That and like the Tom Brady episode are up there as the two that
was on the other day.
The two that I get asked about the most, and I still got those gold Fukijamas, the ones I had on the show. They're one of one. I've been offered a lot of money for them over the years, and if I ever sell those, I'm on some hard times because I'm keeping those forever. I'm gonna give those to my son.
Outside of Jordans, what was your favorite shoe? Whose shoe was it that came out? You was like, them was the ones I just always loved. Outside of Jordan, because we all love Mike. But outside of Jordan,
like whose signature shoe? Like what player?
Whose shoe you was like, man, I like them shoes. Outside of Mike.
I mean, back in the day, I really did love the David Robinson pumps because those were just so weird, and like They
high
were clearly
top.
for a big man. Big men didn't really have shoes. They went up to my knees because I was so short. Those were just crazy.
Let me ask you this, did you have a pair of the Ewans?
Of course I did. I was just going back and forth with
Patty
my.
came back
With
out,
the
he
Ewan
back
on the
popping
tongue,
with
the big old
Ewans.
tongue.
I would wear those right now.
They pop. They out right
I
now.
would
They
wear
are
those
available right now.
Yeah.
Right now.
Shout out to Mace Jr. I think Anthony Mace Jr.'s son, he's reinventing the shoes and putting them back out and stuff
Yep.
like that.
I thought the Spreewells were weird enough that I was like,
Dadas?
yeah,
The
man, those
Dadas
were
with
so.
the spinning
the
wheel on
spinner-
the
I
side.
just- I
Not the
just-
Dadas.
The
I didn't
with
cop
the
them,
rim
but
on.
I wanted to. I didn't cop
No,
them.
I wasn't copping no goddamn
The
Dadas,
Bo
man.
Jacksons too, growing
no,
up,
those
were
are classic.
were
Priceless.
serious.
The Bo's nose.
Bruce Smith, Dion.
Dion's were great. I even
Junior
like,
Seau's was hard too.
I'm the only one I think who liked these because I've been fighting for them. Ken Griffey had his own.
Oh yeah.
You
I
are
thought
not
they
alone.
were. I thought they were.
The Griffies
So this
was
group text
hard.
I'm in with my sneakerhead, like they hate on the Griffies.
No,
I
no.
thought they were. I thought they were great.
Griffies was a must
Nah.
get too. Like,
Yeah.
you gotta have them Griffies.
Well, you got me think. I mean, I'm trying to think. Like here's what I'm always searching for. Because obviously there's a lot of good looking shoes, but I feel like playing quality shoe
Yeah.
has kind of gotten.
Away from
Yeah, it's weird. I don't know. I just like I'm yet to really find it. Like I play right now, and like I like the PG-13s are comfortable. Kyrie's ain't bad. I do got the Russell Westbrook Why Nots, which are just crazy to look at.
yeah.
And I play in them, but they're a little heavy. So I'm always on the search for like what's the good looking shoe that also is good to play in, like pickup.
My
I'm always
favorite,
searching.
my favorite Jordan to play in was like had to be the 13s.
13s to play in.
The
Okay,
13s.
I
'cause
can see that.
I
I was
guess
the patent leather.
I love the patent
leathers,
leathers, but like
11s. You played in the 11s.
the 13s felt better to me though. Like the 11s were cool. They still are up there
Yeah.
with me, but my all-time favorite, most comfort.
That's your favorite playing shoe, or just your favorite Jordan playing shoe?
Jordan playing. I only played in Jordan, so.
So that was your all-time favorite playing shoe, and yours was the 11s.
Yeah, mine was 11.
Listen, I give Jordan the most respect for playing in 5s because that's the heaviest shoe you could ever play in. It's like wearing ankle weights while
yeah,
trying to play. Those things are just heavy
I had
playing
some
shoe.
sick ones though, some Knick blue and white ones. I had some.
I was
some
at those
crazy-
games. I
crazy-
remember.
Crazy
I was
colors.
at those games.
So now you taking on. You have another title. You are a scout for the Knicks esports team.
Yes.
That's our squad. You know what I'm saying? I can say that's our squad. You know what I'm saying? He was on him when I won
I witnessed it.
a esports gaming championship.
I witnessed it.
I'm a gamer.
You're not a
World.
gamer.
I'm competitive.
He's a good 2K player.
I'm
man.
nice at 2K. I tell him this all the time.
Let me give you another drink because I feel like you.
Do you play?
You're
I
not
mean, have
saying
you
the
guys?
truth.
Have you guys gone 1v1 yet?
No,
Come
no,
on.
He knows what I do in 2K.
You ducking him?
He cheats.
Around-
in 2K.
listen. Around
every
our
year,
hood.
every year,
Glitchy?
his top 3 teams are the best 3 teams on the game.
So you like
Time out.
Warriors last year?
He
Time
played
out.
with the Warriors last year. He played with who you played with before that? You played with the Warriors and somebody else before that. Like he always played with the good teams.
No, I don't. That's why you know he lying. Listen, first of all, around my neighborhood, around my camp, around my group of friends, I'm 3-time running champion running into right now. Last time
I've seen him play.
Last
Yeah.
time I lost was when I was working in Detroit and I
Ask-
wasn't able to sit next to him
Right.
and play against him
Ask-
every day, so I wasn't getting that good iron sharpening
Ask
iron.
him this: where do most of their games get played at?
You mean like the
The
location?
location.
In my
Where-
house.
Home court.
Home
advantage.
court
You see that?
advantage.
Like all the games at his house.
knows the
Like it's like cheat. It's like his game just always win for him.
Listen, I've seen him play. I witnessed him win the event that we had for Knicks Gaming,
It had
and
real life gamers. They get paid for this.
and you
bro.
were paired with one of the best
Goof.
2K centers in the world.
Shout out Goof.
Goof.
You know what I'm talking about? Goof. When they win, they won a championship. We ain't just saying like they win and represent.
You guys were tough in the pick and roll, man. You and Goof. They
Hey.
were a problem. It was
Hey,
2-on-2 in the
hey.
park. It was a problem.
Hey, bro, it was hey.
True story.
I know what I want to ask. So like, when you first, I guess it would be some point in the Entourage time. You started getting to what you would call something that was a check where you felt I gotta, I done did something. I want to treat myself. Like, what did you do with some money that you look back on and you like, that was just not very smart, but it felt awesome at the time and it was the best idea ever when you first thought of it?
I got a really dumb car that I shouldn't have got.
There you go.
I got some Maserati with red leather and just was. Honestly, I didn't even know how to drive it. It's not that I'm not a car guy. I enjoy a nice car, but I am not. I really didn't. I used to have to like call my brother, be like, "How do I turn it on again?" I didn't even know what I was
on
doing.
The show. You had to get one of them show cars.
And LA's got a lot of potholes that had the low profile tires. I was getting a flat tire once a month. I went through 6 tires, and those tires are like $800 each. I'm like, this is stupid. This is not giving me anything back in return.
Welcome.
So I took a loss on that one. I took the L on that one.
Welcome.
Yeah.
Many of us.
I took an L on that one.
Many of us.
Actors. If you was to have a 3-on-3 squad and you had to pick 2 other actors to play on your squad,
Football.
Basketball.
Okay. I take this very seriously, Darius. This is a very serious question.
Who are the 2 actors that you would choose to play with you on your 3-on-3?
I think I'm going to go Michael B. Jordan. He could ball.
Okay.
See, because every actor that I played ball with, I just want to beat. So it's having a hard time like making me accept, and I'm going to invite them onto my team.
On your squad.
I need some height. Actors aren't very tall, as you can see. I am not impressed with the current state of acting basketball players.
You should have went and got T.O. T.O. like playing entertainment.
But he's an athlete.
But he's still playing
He's a
entertainment.
Hall of Fame, should be in the Hall of Fame
He
football
wasn't a
player.
basketball player, though. He played in the NBA.
Actual actor.
I've seen T.O. in the gym doing box jumps
Denzel
on the
too old,
45-pound plate.
Yeah,
He's
Denzel's too old, too. I was going to say Denzel.
So I'm saying it's a
Denzel too
bad
old.
time for basketball playing actors. I don't see it.
When you came up and you was watching basketball, so I know you, of course, you was a Knicks fan and you seen Michael Jordan. But who outside of Michael Jordan and the Knicks that you seen that you admired their game and you was like, man, I like how he played?
So I used to buy all those NBA VHS tapes, just like the essentially
Superstars.
mixtapes. I remember the songs
NBA
that
Jam.
On
played.
Instagram, it's right there
Right.
for you.
When I say I studied Tim Hardaway's handle,
Ooh,
I
killer
would like
crossover.
watch it, pause it, grab my ball, go in front of my house and try to do that crossover, never getting it right. Go upstairs, watch it again, come back, try to do it. I loved KJ. I loved Kevin Johnson's game.
KJ.
I watched a lot. I respected him. I mean,
So I'm seeing a theme here. You like the point guard.
I mean, I was little, man. I had to relate.
Envision that
I wasn't
yourself.
backing anybody down and doing a post fade anytime soon. I was small and quick, so obviously, I thought one of the best individual and his game would be so good right now is Mahmoud Abdul-Rauf. His game was NBA now. That was what we were watching. He was shooting more threes than anybody. His game was just unbelievable.
He hit a couple shots in my face in the Big 3 this year. So yeah,
he still can shoot.
He's 50 and still getting it in.
He still can shoot
right now. Still getting it in. Got that work for you.
What actor that you had the opportunity to be around or so forth on that it made you starstruck? Like it was like, whoa, I'm in here with him.
So the
or her.
The most humbling thing that ever happened to me was I got a small but good part in a movie called Las Vegas, right? Which was a senior citizens hangover movie. You know, it was.
I saw this.
Yeah. So and the cast reads as such, and you tell me what doesn't belong. Robert De Niro, Morgan Freeman, Michael Douglas, Kevin Kline, Jerry Ferrara. Right. What doesn't belong in that sentence, right? I just remember I'm never really nervous. I'm always a little anxious before starting a job. But when I started that job, my main goal was like, don't get fired from this movie. This is like all the Hall of Fame. These are like legends that you're working with them all in one shot. So I start the job, and it's almost like they know, right? They see me, they size me up. I'm like, oh, it's this 30-year-old Italian kid from Brooklyn. He probably what? They bring me in, and they immediately diffuse any weirdness of me looking at them like, whoa. They just bring you right in. They're like, so where are you from? Oh, Brooklyn. Oh, yeah. So you know this place. And 10 minutes in, you feel like you're with them. You're part of the group.
Right.
And I think they know because they're like, if this kid's starstruck for the whole movie, his performance might stink. So we got to calm him down. And then coolest thing I ever saw was Morgan Freeman had gotten sick while shooting. He got like a flu or something, right? And, you know, he's up in his 70s at this point, and I think he had like over 100 and something fever. If anyone could call in sick, it's Morgan Freeman. I mean, the guy's played the president. He's played God.
Right.
If he wants to say, hey, guys, I need a day off. Like, if I got the flu, I got to probably go work through it. All right? I can't necessarily, in a movie like that, I can't shut down production. Yeah. He could. Showed up to work at 5 a.m., and he said, you know what? I'm going to work till I can't work anymore. If I feel awful, I'm going to tell you guys, and then we got to switch it up. He worked the entire day with the flu. We made our day. We got every shot we needed, and it really was like a lesson. Like, man, like you're going to be a prima donna. Morgan Freeman at 70-something years old out here with 102 fever, working and killing it.
Getting it in.
It was his flu game.
Right.
That was his flu game.
Right.
It was his flu game. So it really was like, listen, any ideas you had that you think you're like the man? No. That's the man right there.
Yo, I think it's dope how you reference everything with sports.
It's my life, man.
And like how you truly like live that out and just reference, like that's dope to me. That's dope.
I know you took some from Entourage and you did Power. What did you take from being part of the Power franchise that you can kind of move forward? What was one of the biggest things that you took from this series?
So, Entourage was an ensemble cast where everybody kind of had their shine at like the same time. And then look, guys flat out stood out. Mm-hmm. And I think I did on Entourage to a degree, but like we were talking about Kevin Dillon as drama earlier, like Piven as R, like those dudes are getting nominated for Emmys. Piven won it 3 years in a row. Like that. Yeah. I'm not saying I wasn't good, but like those guys. Yeah. So with Power, again, it's an ensemble cast, but the way I kind of went out this past season, they really did give me my moment to shine, where I was in every scene and I had to carry the episode. I had not really ever, when Entourage, had to carry the episode. And it was really the first time I had that opportunity, and I feel like I did a good job. I don't think I'm being too...
You did. We're going to tell you.
I'm not trying to pat myself on the back. I feel like I gave it all I had, and it turned out okay. So what I'm taking from that is I think I could do it again on a more regular scale. Like, I'm ready for that. I'm ready to carry something on my own. I guess I'm ready for my own team. Yeah. I'm ready to get in there and be like, this is my team. I know how to try to win a championship, to bring it back to sports.
Word up.
You did Think Like a Man.
Yes.
And
much fun.
And your wife, your fiance was Gabrielle Union. Like, how was it like working with that whole cast and everybody? How was that?
Look, man, I don't want to say this out loud because I don't like to jinx anything, but I'm just a lucky dude. Entourage, to Think Like a Man, to Power, those are families right there. Those are 3 families. Think Like a Man, I mean, we all still talk regularly, and it does not always happen like that. And I had a front row seat to seeing Kevin Hart just go to another planet. That wasn't his first movie, but that was his first movie where it's like, we're going to tee this up for you, where you get, like, it's almost like we're going to run the offense for you. We're going to feature you in the offense. You're going to get a ton of shots. We're running plays for you, K. Hart. And he shot like 98% from the field. I mean, he was just hitting them out of the park. And that movie was made for a reasonable budget. It was expected to do like okay, and ended up making $100 million at the box office. It just was lightning in a bottle. And getting to play opposite Gabrielle Union, I honestly didn't want to do it because I remember saying, like, no one's going to believe that I was able to get her. That's the biggest stretch I ever had to do in my career. Everyone's going to call BS on it. No one's going to believe that. So somehow I pulled it off. It was probably more her than me. And
especially with a couch like that. Like that was one of my favorite scenes from you and Gabrielle. It was like when she changed the house around and you was like, where are all my...
Where's my stuff?
Where my stuff?
Where's my posters?
Where's my posters? Where all of this?
There's a funny beat. There's a funny beat in that movie that I don't know if anybody caught. So if anybody catches it again on TV, right? So in that movie, she throws out all my character stuff and brings in new, nice couple stuff. Yeah. And there's a scene where she's sitting on the couch and we have to have a serious talk. And I go sit on the couch and the couch was so high, my feet didn't touch the ground. So you just see my feet dangling. And I look at him and I give her a look like, it doesn't get referenced, but I always thought that was a funny moment. But that was just unbelievable. That was my first look at like the power of social media too, because everyone in that movie had a little bit of a following. And again, that was a little engine that could movie that made $100 million at the box office and got a sequel.
Straight up.
I know I want to ask, like, with you being a huge, just sports and basketball fan in general, what's your take on, like, just the current state of the league with all of the craziness in the free agency, players going everywhere, and now teams settling in and it being so much parity and you got an idea. You look at the, handful of teams that you say got a chance, but it's not like the last few years where it was Warriors or wherever LeBron is. You know what I'm saying? Warriors or LeBron is. So now it's still in my opinion, it's slightly, you look at the Lakers and you like AD and LeBron, but like even still, other teams, like what is your thoughts on this upcoming season as a super fan?
I think this is going to be an unbelievable NBA season because this is the first time in a long time the regular season is going to mean something. Mm-hmm. I mean, it always means something, but it was a foregone conclusion for the last almost 5 years. We know at least one of the teams who are going to be in the finals. We pretty much almost know both.
Right.
So last year was the first real exception with the Raptors getting in there. So this year now, I can't tell you who's going to be in the finals. I don't know if it's going to be Lakers Bucks. Is it going to be Celtics Warriors? The Warriors are going to shock everybody. It's wide open. We have parity, which is what everyone's been asking for for a long time. I think it's the most entertaining sport that we have going right now, and a lot of it is because of the players and the storylines that are going on. And again, like I said, it's the first year in a long time. You are not guaranteed a playoff spot in the West.
Yeah,
you are just flat out not. And you could end up with the 7 seed and be a really good team and got to go mess around and play the Lakers in the first round and still be a good team.
Who's going to the championship and who will win the championship this year? And of course, you can't use your own team.
I know I can't.
Will I make you feel better where it's like you're not
for several reasons. That's a really good question. Okay. I'm going to say Lakers, because I do think we're going to get we've never seen LeBron on rest, right?
Yeah.
He's never really, right? He took that 1 week off in Miami. I mean, when he was on Cleveland, he went to Miami for a week during the season, came back, and I think that's the year they won the chip or almost won. So it's hard to go against LeBron when he's healthy. So I think if the Lakers stay healthy, and I think maybe they manage his games a little bit, I'm going to go Lakers. And I think we're gonna see Giannis break through. I'm gonna go Lakers Bucks. Just what the NBA wants, right? Lakers Bucks.
I think not Knicks, not because I'm not a Knick, but I think our Clippers this year is gonna win the.
That's my number 2 team. I mean, yeah, I think it's gonna be a battle in LA.
And you got the opportunity to see us come to LA, and kind of change the Clippers around to see the Clippers now. What do you think about that transition in LA?
I want to go back in time and watch you guys some more, man. Honestly, I swear, like my friends and I, like, we're all the kind of same age. Like we talk about that Clipper team all the time. So I said when that article came out, man, it was like we've been waiting for it because that it changed a lot of stuff in the NBA, man. It was so dope to watch. So
appreciate.
But
that,
I am
man.
excited to like if we get Lakers Clippers. I lived in LA almost 20 years. We never thought we would see that.
I want to see that in the playoffs, like in the Western Conference Finals, if it could be. If that could get racked up, that'd be like the best thing
One
ever.
Stadium. No. You just got to change the floor.
I mean, the dream one day is to see Clippers, Lakers in the West, and then Knicks, Nets in the East battling it out for the fight. That's like the script I would want to watch. And, of course, the Knicks win the championship in the end.
All right, man, we got our brand partners. We want to, show our appreciation for coming on the show with us, man. We got the special Knuckleheads edition of the Hennessy VSOP. Very special. very special.
I like that Knucklehead. Let's just say I'm going to save this to the Knicks win a championship. Then that's what I'm going to drink from it. So it's gonna be. It might be on ice for a long time.
Might never be open.
We're gonna be optimistic, man. You gonna crack that thing. You and your son when you get old enough.
That's right. That's right. Come here, son. Let me take some of that. Knicks won a championship.
Hey, so that's a wrap, man. We did our first show with a non-athlete, my man Jerry Ferrara, man, a.k.a. Turtle, a.k.a.
Proctor.
Okay, we in the building.
Everybody's favorite lawyer.
You know what I'm talking about? Forgot his name and Think Like a Man, but you know what I'm saying? He was killing it in that too. But you know what I'm saying? We appreciate the love, man. We talked about many things New York, all things Entourage. We got into Power. Dropped a couple jewels on y'all on that one. He had to go out, but he went out gracefully, respectfully.
Bust that thing.
Tune in, y'all. Knuckleheads. We doing it.